time for the paper review with Dr. Constance Ikoku. Good morning.
Good morning, Nkechi. Good morning, Adesua and Indy.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, to look at the papers with us this morning, we have Igor Akerera. He is a member of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Hello there and welcome to the program. We'll begin with this newspaper. Oyedele defends new tax bill, says proposed amendments meant to usher fairer template for VAT distribution. Finally, FG restores power supply to some northern states after 10-day blackout. Like Obasanjo did to Lagos, court stops Rivers allocations under President Tinubu. Economic hardship, NLC to demand further review of workers' salaries. So the NLC, the Nigerian Labour Congress, in light of the impact of the so-called reforms that has unleashed record inflation, says that it's time to look again at the minimum wage. I think it's going down between Labour and government. At the moment, the government doesn't have the money to pay for further increase, but Labour seems to have a point. Igor, welcome. What are your thoughts on this?
Certainly, after the last agreement between Labour and the federal government, a lot have changed. Inflation has risen. Prices of goods and services have gone to the rooftop. And so there is actually a need for the Nigerian Labour Congress to try and seek a renegotiation of salaries and wages. But I doubt, as you said, and as the papers have reported this morning, whether the federal government is going to have the money to pay. But much more beyond that, the biting neoliberal policies of the government, the seeming insensitivity of the government to listen to the yearning of Nigerians, and then evolve approaches and strategies that can mitigate the current suffering is a big challenge. For the NLC itself, Nigerians, I think most Nigerians have actually also lost hope in the NLC. The NLC is throwing its hands in the air and asking for public support, mobilization to challenge the government on all of these policies. But I doubt if anything is going to come out of the new NLC posture.
The NLC president, Joe Ajero, says that neoliberalism must be stopped, and Labour is the only force that can do that. We've been hearing about this neoliberalism thing for many years. In spite of that, the country seems to be sinking deeper into it and rolling, non-stop into whatever direction it's being pushed. What do you make of this?
I love the word Igor used, insensitivity of government and its policies. It's not just even Labour wanting to fight. It's government knowing that they are servants, or they should be servants, elected by people, and the people are yearning for good policies, for better standard of living. NRC seems to be the only force, and if the NRC can't do anything, then even if NLC gets what they want, how about the people who trade, the SMEs and private organizations? They're practically left out. So is government doing what should be done to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians?
Right. This is going to be a very long road. We're just barely 1.5 years. It's going to be very tough.
That's
yes.
The thing.
Yeah. The Guardian. New twist as Rivers stakeholders fought allocation suspension order. TCN restores power to the north again. We've seen that story. Tax reform bills Ndume Arewa group lock horns as NGF traditional rulers meet. Do we have the Guardian there? Energy cost Japa syndrome. Threatens survival of the varsity system. So let's look at Daily Trust other story. Article cautions as court stops monthly releases to Rivers. No, we're still on the Guardian. So let's look at the new twist in Rivers State. The court says that the allocations, monthly allocations to the state must be stopped. It means that salaries will not be paid. This is in light of the controversy in the State House of Assembly. Igor, there's a legality issue here. There's also the issue of decampment, the State House of Assembly divided, and the long battle between the gladiators in the state.
Oh yes, absolutely. The rivers crisis has become a big thorn in the flesh of almost everyone. The entire country is all focus is on River State. But I think the big issue here, as also reported by this day and all of the papers this morning, is the judgment yesterday by the judgment of Justice Joyce Abdul Malik of the Federal High Court in Abuja, which restrained the CBN and other agencies from releasing the monthly allocations to River State. Well, if you look at what happened yesterday, it is not new. There have been judgments, countermeasures, courts of co-ed jurisdiction, court of equal powers. Everybody appears to be feasting on the rivers crisis. And I think the problem stems from the inability of even the government itself at the center to put its feet down. The constitution is very, very clear. 27 lawmakers or so, 23 or so of them defected from the People's Democratic Party, a party on which platform they were elected, to the All Progressives Congress, the ruling party. And they were seeking to also retain their position, which is a clear violation of the Nigerian Constitution. And one of the papers, I think the paper in Ghana reported a similar thing happened in Ghana, and the Speaker of Parliament put his feet down. Because we are unable to put our feet down as a country, because we are unable to uphold the rule of law, that's what has brought about all of this. And judges are feasting on this, giving contradicting judgments. The good thing is that the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kekere Eko, has summoned many of the judges who are delivering these judgments to Abuja, to have a talk with them. What has happened in Rivers State yesterday is a call to anarchy. The judiciary is actually becoming a catalyst to anarchy in the country, and all Nigerians must be on guard, must be watchful, must be vigilant at this time, because there appears to be a huge interest beyond what we see in Rivers State.
Okay, let's look at another story in The Guardian as well. Tinubu appoints Oluyede as acting army chief. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, is currently abroad on medical treatment. Major General Oluyede is therefore stepping in acting capacity. Remember that last week there were rumors that Lagbaja had passed. However, that was debunked. That we know that he is poorly to the extent that he has been flown abroad for medical treatment. Nkechi, let's bring you in here. What do you make of this situation?
I think it's just a matter of playing guessing game with the public. The lack of transparency signals a deeper issue within our government when it comes to government communications, especially when it comes to high-level people in Nigeria when it comes to their health. It's not a small issue. I think Nigerian people just deserve that clarity, especially when there's a potential shift in leadership at a time when we're tackling a lot of insecurity in the country. In other democracies worldwide, the health of top officials is public information. It affects public confidence. It affects national stability. And in an age where you have misinformation spreading like wildfire, we don't have the luxury of all this secrecy. So I just think clarity and communication for the Nigerian people when it comes to issues like this.
Adesua, again, this article prompts discussion about the state of medical care in the country. Too often we see that public officials and individuals, private individuals that have the means, often go abroad to seek medical attention. And the rest of the people who cannot afford it are left here. When public officials are the ones that have to go abroad, it means that much attention is not being paid on improving healthcare domestically. What do you think?
You cannot be more correct, Dr. Ikoko. It's unfortunate the state of our healthcare, and you can't blame anybody really if they decide to take their money to go and find better health care elsewhere. It's what we'll face is medical tourism. It's a huge business and one that we've not been able to crack and tap into. So much that our public officials travel abroad. But I just wanted to say to this particular story that beyond the death rumor, You also recall that the Nigerian army about 2 weeks ago came out to dismiss reports that there was a leadership vacuum, and that following the absence of Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, the COAS, and they said they had put protocols in place to ensure that there was continuity, at that time announcing Major General Abdusalami Ibrahim, who's the Chief of Policy and Plan of the Army at that time. But it does look like President Bola Tinubu is not taking any chances, as Nkechi rightly pointed out. At the time we are facing multiple security threats, the President has decided to now put in place someone with a stellar career, his extensive experience. Oluyede is a classmate to the COAS, Taoreed Lagbaja. They were both classmates in course 39. So he's bringing a lot of expertise. He's very familiar with the terrain. And we hope that it will bring in fresh perspectives into the battles we are fighting at this time. We must also wish Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja a quick recovery at this time. It's the frailty of life, of humanity. You can fall ill. You can be ill. But again, this is where we are at. There's a new person in charge, acting capacity. All eyes will be on him to see what he brings to the table.
The danger is in public officials using public funds to go treat themselves.
Okay, New Telegraph. There's again the crisis in Rivers State with the Fubara. And then reps ask FG to stop airstrip licenses to individuals, organizations, withdraw existing approvals. PMS, Ipman threatens to import product over Dangote's refinery's delay. National President of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Ipman, says they've applied to be supplied petrol, but the application has not been favorably considered. Meanwhile, we hear Aliko Dangote, CEO of Dangote Refinery, he has been, up and about, literally begging NNPCL to pick up petrol from his refinery. If not, what is he going to do with the petrol? What is actually going on with this? Is Dangote solely focused on the government? We don't know the full picture here. Iyo, what do you think is happening? There's a lot of controversy.
Well, I've said it repeatedly here in other platforms that Nigerians are not being told the truth. The more you look, the less you see is what they are playing games, basically, with Nigerians. What is happening in the petroleum sector, in my view, is that if a new set of cabal has taken over. Yes, initially everybody was talking about subsidies. So I think this cabal just realized that, they need to move away from this subsidy language and then use other languages. There was high hopes that once the Dangote refinery comes on stream, the Nigerians were going to have access, to cheaper petrol at the petrol station. But once Dangote then took off, the whole thing was then shrouded in all kinds of mystery. Dangote himself was not helping matters. He wouldn't tell Nigerians how much a liter of petrol will go. At a point, he struck a deal with the NNPC that the NNPC would be the sole off-taker of his product, the sole marketer, and all of that. Now, I think the independent petroleum marketers, are just tired. They are flustered with the whole situation, and they are talking about importing fuel. But the bottom line to all of this, which I think is very embarrassing to this country, is that 9 years after the ruling party took over. Yes, because the argument was that the PDP wasn't doing too well with the refineries, and that they could fix it and they could, guarantee, unrestrained access to petroleum by Nigerians. But 9 years after, the ruling party, the government has not been able to fix one of the refineries. And then we are still talking about importing fuel. I think that is a national disgrace. That is where the conversation should be. And that is also why I do believe that a new set of cabal, a new set of profiteers, people who want high margins have taken over the petroleum sector.
Daily Sun this morning, Yahaya Bello versus EFCC court shifts arraignment hearing to January 21, 2025. And then Governors Monarchs Joint Committee to sponsor bill on creation of traditional council. That sounds interesting. Let's look at the international headlines for you. Daily Graphic, 4 vacant seats in Parliament. Supreme Court dismisses Speaker's application. The Speaker's attempt to declare 4 seats vacant after the members defected has suffered a setback. The Supreme Court dismissed the application to declare the seats vacant, describing it as misinformation and misapprehension of the law. Well, in the battle in that parliament, this means that the 4 members will continue to be MPs pending the final determination of this suit.
Well, that is what it is in Ghana. We referred to what I was ill or who talked about that Ghana incident, the law. But the point here is that the Speaker is asking the Supreme Court to overturn its ruling. And the Supreme Court is saying, excuse me, this is not just a question of the Parliament. This is a question of constitution. And so the Supreme Court has a right, to intervene. The Ghana thing, it's neither here nor there. We just watch and see how it plays out eventually.
Yes, I think the court obviously has asserted that if there's any constitutional ambiguity, if one piece of legal framework can be read 2 ways, then yes, it's the Supreme Court's job to step in and clarify. And they're basically saying that's what they did. Okay,
the Citizen South Africa, only GNU can stop Zuma, says Gayton, Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture. Gayton McKenzie says a strong government of national unity will put Jacob Zuma's party to a stop. Apparently, several high-profile politicians have joined the MK party of Zuma. These people were presented as key figures in advancing the MK party's mission to promote accountability and integrity. MK may become a solid alternative platform, according to this article. That's why not?
Of course, and anyone who followed the last election closely saw the dent that Zuma did or put on the ANC, and that's why they are where they are now, having to form a government of national unity to even be in power still. So writing off Zuma may be at your own peril. Say anything you like about Zuma, but I think it's a name, it's a name that has come to stay in South African politics for a bit now. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. Okay, let's look at the Daily Express.
Halloween horror show. That's an interesting headline describing Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves' tax bombshell. She's been accused of hammering families in an eye-watering £40 billion raid. So many newspapers this morning have the similar headlines. The Guardian, return of tax and spend. And then we have Daily Mirror, spending power, record cash to transform NHS and schools, 40 billion tax hike as tough choices made. The Times, a record tax burden. Then Daily Telegraph, nightmare on Downing Street. They have a cartoon of Rachel, like a Halloween. It's Halloween today, by the way. I think that's why. And then, so you have the box now painted in yellow. Then Daily Mail.
Yellow for pumpkin. For
yellow for pumpkin, Halloween. Yeah. Daily Mail, Reeves 40 billion tax bombshell for Britain, strivers. The Sun, at least she kept it down at the pumpkins. Very interesting. What do you make of all of this?
Well, I thought the Halloween story, aside the Reeves, was about the match between Newcastle and what's the name, and Chelsea. There was another paper who also treated Halloween show, talking about Newcastle and Chelsea. They lost 2-0 in the Carabao Cup. But of course, this was quite interesting when we were watching earlier. We did the story earlier, watching Rishi Sunak. And it was enjoyable, to watch how politics should be played, how opposition is really standing up to say to Reeves that what you're doing holds no water. And that's the much I can say about that, the budget and how 40 billion tax move. And of course, Rishi said, you are failing in what you promised the people.
Daily Star, Daily Star is dramatic. It says sort of, the budget, sort the budget. This is the biggest and most important story of the day, which is ghosts are dying out. Ghosts are said to be fading away. with fewer and fewer sightings reported. Who's afraid of ghosts? You know, have you watched any of the reality TV shows?
What would they talk about? For
Haunted horses. Yeah, because it's Halloween today.
I think it's an oxymoron in itself, saying that ghosts are dying. Ghosts already, as we know, are spirits. But this story is very interesting. So there's this paranormal expert, Dr. Lee, who says that there have been reduced sightings of ghosts around the country. I think he said about 8,000, as much as 8,000 reduced sightings, and he's citing energy sources.
Yeah, particular place where they visit.
He says ghosts rely on natural energy sources to appear. And so as the energy sources disappear, the ghosts are also disappearing.
And he says they've been interviewing them and they're saying, can you beat that?
Nkechi, any thoughts on that?
I mean, it's funny because
with them.
I mean, he says he's an expert, and
they actually answered. Sorry,
they answered
because they're living. Most of them here are not living up. Is it up to 100 years or more than 100 years? You know now.
I mean, it's what it is. We see different stories every day,
Yeah,
and like you said, it's Halloween today, and that was actually a fun, intriguing story that we see on that front page.
I'm sure in Nigeria, if we do Halloween, they'll say it's witches and wizards from your ancestors.
No,
you
but
know,
of
they
course,
celebrate
ghosts,
theirs.
what are ghosts? I mean, it's the same thing that they have their own way of interpreting it.
But they celebrate theirs.
Africa has its
But
own way of interpreting
witchcraft
it.
and wizardry is not confined only to Nigeria, Africa.
No, it's not.
No, what I'm saying, when it comes to Nigeria, we tend to, be frightened by those things, but other people celebrate it.
I'm frightened by it.
Mr. Ego Akerega is watching like, what are you
Well, I don't know
about?
about being
I'm no expert in ghosts.
All right, we have to run. We have to run. All right, thank you so much, Constance and Ego. You said Ego was laughing. All right, thank you so much.
Just wondering
Ego.
what's going on.
Ego for being here. Don't worry. Don't worry, Ego. It's all right.
I just enjoyed the conversation.
Don't worry. All right. The morning show is next. I am Ndi Amogo. Thanking you for watching.
Thanks for staying with us here on Daybreak. I am Nkechi Nana.
So our viewers in the US and around the world that observe the day, happy Halloween. I am Adesua Omoran. Good morning.
Halloween goes.